Okay, stop whatever you're doing. I need you to think about something that will genuinely break your brain for the next 7 minutes. At some point in history, there was a human being who opened their mouth and made the very first word ever. One person on this entire planet said something and nobody understood them. Can you imagine how embarrassing that must have been? You're sitting around a fire with your crew. You open your mouth and go, rock? And everyone just stares at you. Like, bro, what did you just say? But here's the wild part. That moment, that one awkward, confusing, embarrassing moment, is the reason you're watching this video right now. It's the reason humans built cities, wrote books, went to the moon, and made YouTube. All of it started with one word. But before we go back 135,000 years, smash that like for Stickeee. Because this story, nobody tells it like this. Let's set the scene. It's roughly 135,000 years ago. Africa. Hot, dry, dangerous. There are no cities, no phones, no Wi-Fi, which honestly sounds terrifying. Humans have been walking this earth for over 300,000 years already. And for most of that time, complete silence. Well, not complete silence. Grunts, screams, pointing. A lot of very aggressive pointing. You want to tell your friend there's a lion behind them? You don't say, "Hey lion, behind you." You just panic gesture and hope for the best. And honestly, that worked for thousands of years. Not great, but it worked. But then something happened. Something inside the human brain started changing. Scientists call it the emergence of language capacity. I call it the moment one human got tired of pointing and decided to just say something. Here's something that will mess with you. Humans had the physical ability to speak long before they actually spoke. The vocal cords, the throat, the tongue, all ready to go for thousands of years. Just sitting there, like a sports car with no driver. What was missing wasn't the mouth. It was the brain. Specifically, the ability to connect a sound to a meaning. To look at a rock and think, I'm going to call that a rock. That connection between a sound and a thing is so simple a 3-year-old can do it today. But for 99% of human history, nobody could. And then one day, one brain made that connection, and nothing was ever the same. Now, here's where it gets deep.
We don't know what the first word was. Nobody does. It's literally the greatest mystery in human history. Was it a sound for food? For danger? For I love you? For that's mine, don't touch it? Scientists think the first words were probably about survival. Pointing at things, naming dangers, coordinating hunts. But here's what I think. I think the first word was probably an accident. Someone made a sound. Someone else copied it. And suddenly, two people understood each other in a way they never had before. Imagine that feeling. For the first time in your life, someone actually gets what you mean. Not because they saw your hands, but because they heard your voice. That must have felt like magic. And in a way, it was. Because in that moment, loneliness became something that could be shared. Fear became something that could be named. Love became something that could be said out loud. One word changed everything. And once it started, it didn't stop. Words spread like wildfire. One word became 10. 10 became 100. 100 became a language. And with language came something no other animal had ever had. The ability to share an idea that exists only in your head and put it inside someone else's head, without touching them, without showing them, just with sound. That's insane when you think about it. A dog can show you it's happy. A bird can warn others of danger. But only a human can say, I had a dream last night, and in it, there was a city made of gold on the other side of that mountain. And the other human goes, let's go find it. That's exploration. That's ambition. That's civilization. All from words. About 100,000 years ago, right after language kicked in, something wild happened in the archaeological record. Humans suddenly started making art, painting on cave walls, making jewelry, burying their dead with flowers. Scientists call it the Great Leap Forward, a sudden explosion of creativity and culture. But it wasn't random. It happened because of language. Because once you can describe the world with words, you start imagining worlds that don't exist yet. And that imagination built everything you see around you today. Okay, now I want to tell you something that genuinely keeps me up at night. For 295,000 years of human history, nobody could read. Nobody could write. Every single story, every piece of knowledge, every lesson, every warning, every love story was passed from mouth to ear, human to human, generation to generation. Your great, 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 great grandmother sat around a fire and told stories out loud. And those stories survived. Not on paper, not on a server, in the memory of living human beings for hundreds of thousands of years. Writing only started 5,000 years ago. That's nothing. That's 1.6% of human history. Which means the real library of humanity isn't in any building. It's in the words we still say out loud, the songs we still sing, the stories we still tell. Language didn't just help humans survive. It made us human. So the next time you say something to someone you love, or tell a story that makes someone laugh, or whisper something to a friend at 2 a.m., remember, you were doing something 135,000 years old. You are part of an unbroken chain of human voices that stretches all the way back to one awkward person in Africa who pointed at a rock and said something. And nobody understood them. But they tried anyway. And because they did, here we are. Talking, laughing, thinking, dreaming. All because one human refused to stay silent. I think that's the most human thing I've ever heard. If this made you feel something, if you learned something you didn't know before, subscribe to Stickeee right now, because we've got more stories like this. Stories about who we are, where we came from, and why any of it matters. See you in the next one.